Do you ever feel like you're always the one to show up for all the people around you, whether it's at home, with family, with clients, at work, and yet when it comes to you, you don't show up for yourself? You're doing the best that you can, but somehow you're starting to fragment. Something's starting to feel off, and it's starting to wear you down. Now, this is a common theme that comes up in many of my guidance sessions, and actually had a client who's going through this exact situation just the last couple of days. And it really inspired me to create a video for you today in case this hits home. But before we get into it, my name is Oliver Manalesa. For the past 13 years, I've been a guide for high achievers, helping them end the war within and unlock peaceful prosperity in their lives and in their businesses. If you would like me to hold a space for you so you can confront the truth, to untangle some of the mess so you can reconnect with yourself and what matters to you, please use the link below to schedule a guidance session with me, and I look forward to being there to support you. So my client, he is a business owner, he's a dad, and he is a husband, and he's this go-to person. Lots of responsibility on his shoulders. And what's really, really challenging about this is that so many of us can relate to this experience of being so generous, of feeling like you have so much to give. And then at some point, at some level, you hit a season where that yes that you are giving to others is turning into a no to ourselves. It turns into a form of self-avoidance. And this ability, we might know it's so important that we need to prioritize ourselves, we need to take care of ourselves, but that muscle, it's atrophied over the years. It's uncomfortable, it's difficult, it's something that we're not familiar with. What we're more familiar with, our neural pathways are just so used to being a yes and showing up for every single person and putting them all above our own needs. And yet we get to a place in our life and in our career when our soul starts to feel so starved, of this attention, of this care. And it can get really, really difficult if this builds up and this is something that doesn't get attended to. So for my client, he's going through something that so many people that I've worked with over the years start going through. There's this slow, silent buildup of resentments, of irritability, of anger. And even if you're like a calm and relaxed and easygoing person like myself and my client, it's easy to mask it. We know exactly how to impersonate that version of ourselves. And we can almost fool ourselves into thinking, no, I'm not angry. No, I let that go. No, I'm forgiving. But tucked away in a little corner is this festering, right? This festering of bitterness towards the people and the things that actually matter to us. So when we do this to ourselves, it actually can really drain so much of our energy. And what's actually really beautiful is actually being able to point to past scenarios that are very similar to this, and what we did to shift and break free from some of that heaviness. And for my client, it was only about a month and a half ago that he finally took about a week off just for himself in complete solitude, completely disconnected, and just being at one with nature. And what's so amazing is that as soon as he came back, he was so nurtured and so nourished at a soul level. He saw that energy was rippling out, rippling through family, his employees, with interactions with clients. And it was just so tangible to be able to anchor into that experience of just like, oh yeah, that's right. When I prioritize myself, when I respect these core values and these boundaries of just showing up for myself, it actually leads to me being able to be there for those around me. And what's so interesting is that when we were going through this conversation, I asked, how much of yourself do you feel like is showing up? If there's like the fullest version of yourself versus the one who's showing up right now, how much is showing up? And this is something that's very common. Almost the majority of the time, clients will say 60%. That's what they'll say. About 2/3 of their potential is showing up. And the phrasing that I use is, it's like, dude, you are only 2/3 of the man that you could be. And saying things with this specific language is something so powerful, so potent, especially in these sacred containers, because it can really hit a nerve, hit a part of our soul that really needs to hear that truth and confront that truth. Because if only a fraction of ourselves is showing up for our wife, for our kids, for our clients, for our employees, for our family members, we're the ones who carry the burden of knowing that we're not the best version that we could be, that these people that we love and care about, they don't even know any better, but they're actually not getting the best version of me. And this is where that fragmentation starts to occur. When you are at the gym, but you feel guilty that you're not with your family. When you're with your family, but you're heavy with stuff that's going on with some of your clients and some of the challenges at work. And then you're at work, feeling exhausted, knowing that you didn't take care of your body with the food that you eat, with your movement practice. So rather than being fully present with what's right in front of you, your brain is scattered and it's all over the place. And these are all just signs of you're saying yes to every single thing outside of yourself, but it's equivalent to a no to yourself. It's a form of self-betrayal. And this is how you start to diminish your long-term capacity to be able to serve the people that you love. And I think when we take a look at the fact that, okay, our short-term people pleasing actually is detrimental to our long-term ability to be of service, to use our gifts, to do good, to show up for the people around us. It's a really important perspective shift. Because what we fail to recognize in the discomfort of the present moment, it's so, there's a block, there's a resistance to setting a boundary, to saying no, and we don't want to fail the people around us. We don't want to leave them hanging. So we say yes, or we tell them we'll get back to them, or we stay in the sense of indecisiveness and we outsource the decision to a future version of ourselves. So we're just making it even worse for ourselves. We're betraying a future version of ourselves. And so do you see how this all compounds? But then, the difference is when you are only operating as a fraction of yourself, it's telling you that this is not sustainable. Like what you are doing, how you are operating is not working. And so what we got to do is we got to bite down. We got to develop a spine, a freaking backbone to be able to say no. To be able to say no. I reserve the right to change my mind, but no. To the invitation, to the request, to the ask. So that we can actually clear some space, so that we can actually have some space to be there for ourselves. And so in the short term, that's not going to satisfy some of that sense of, I'm being there for people, I'm checking off the boxes, and I'm my ability to be there for others is limitless, it's abundant, but really it isn't. Instead, we say no, in the short term, we give ourselves that attention that our soul needs, with self-care, with well-being practices, with time for play, with time with presence, doing things that are just for us, not trying to improve ourselves, better our circumstances, but just to be with life exactly as it is, as beautiful as it is, to just feel alive. It's a gift that God has given us to experience and relish and savor the moment, the blessings that are right in front of us. And so I think this is so important that we realize that when we say no today and we reject that people-pleasing aspect of us, it actually supports our long-term capacity to be able to be present and creative and resourceful for all the people and things that matter to us. So we got to think of a bigger picture. It's actually like, honey, or to your wife, to your kid, or you say, and you're thinking to your business partners, your employees, your clients, or your family members. Look, and this is happening in your head. You don't say this directly to them, but listen, it's better for them that you do this for yourself in the long run. Because what happens when you start when you only say yes and you say no to them and you say no to yourself, eventually you will break down. Eventually you will burn out, and it'll take you days and weeks to recover from that exhaustion, that bitterness, that resentment, and that anger. But if I allow myself that space, it actually makes me so much more peaceful, so much more relaxed, and so much more effortless in being able to be there for those people in the future. So it's so important to quit putting off these decisions, because that's a form of self-betrayal. It's so important to start with no, so that we can actually establish that boundary up front, so that we could actually clear our plate, clear our slate, so that we can actually have some time and energy for ourselves, and we can find those energy leaks that we need to plug. And so when we're actually able to do these things for ourselves, it shifts, right? When we can top up and when we can tap into a fuller version of ourselves, then we're not fragmented. We're actually more whole and complete. And I think that when we're with our children, when we're with our spouse, when we're with our clients and we're solving problems in our business and we're trying to be there to show up for our family members or our friends who are in need, we don't have all this other stuff that we are dragging into that moment. We don't have all these other things that we think that we should be doing instead of being there for the person right in front of us. They don't, the people around us don't need more of you. They need a full version of you. And so I think it's so important for us to remember that when we don't do this, it's a huge cost. Not only does it cost you to, in terms of leading you to burnout and anger and breaking down, it actually costs the people around you, because they're not experiencing your fullest presence. They can sense, maybe not consciously, they might not be able to put words to it, but they know that you're not fully there with them. And so it costs the people around us, and it costs our future potential. And so I think it's so important that if you're a high achiever, if you're an entrepreneur, you're self-employed, you want to use your gifts to be, to do good in this world, that in the short term, you got to say no to others and say yes to yourself. Because look, this is not about work or time management. You can add all the tactics and all the strategies and read all the books and just keep adding to yourself. More things to know, more things to do. But actually what you need is less. You need to clear stuff. You need to stop doing things. And when you do that, you realize this is actually a conversation about integrity. It's actually about honoring yourself. It's actually about choosing wholeness instead of approval. This is not just about these practical and logistic and day-to-day things. This is a spiritual practice. Because my friend, when you stop betraying yourself, you're going to stop resenting everyone else. And this is actually also something that comes up in me and my wife. We're hosting these harmonious relationship free webinars. And there's this insight that I share in there about, hey, how can you expect someone to spend the rest of their life with you if you're not even willing to spend a day with yourself? And so my friend, I think this is a very, very needed conversation. If something resonates with you, please support my channel, hit the like button, share a comment, let me know what your thoughts are, what's showing up for you, subscribe to the channel. If you feel like you want to go deeper and you want support, it would be so great to have a guidance session with you. You can use the link below. As well, I'll put a link for our Harmonious Relationship webinar series if you'd like to attend one of those with your partner. I'll put a link for that below as well. And that is it, my friend. I am so, so grateful to be in this conversation with you. Make sure that you spend that time nurturing and nourishing yourself at a soul level, so that in the long run, you have this sustainable practice to be able to be present and resourceful and creative for all the people and all the things that matter to you in your life. Until next time, be well.